Environmental. Nope. Okay. Let me start over with the recording. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Pam Ricker de la Rosa. I'm Environmental Sustainability Program Manager here at the City of Milwaukee's Environmental Collaboration Office. And I'm leading up this program for the city, along with our great consultants, Clearly Energy. Um, Today I'll be providing some background on kind of the reasons for this ordinance and program. And then we'll kind of run through the practical steps of, the different steps you have to take to get your building into Energy Star Portfolio Manager, get your bill information from We Energies, and then share that information with the city of Milwaukee. So that is the agenda. And then along with some additional details on the knowledge base help desk and building owner portal that you can also set up through that program as well. But we should have plenty of time for questions and answers at the end. So given that we're 12:03 right now, I think we'll just go ahead and get started. So let me pull up my slides. All right, can everyone see that? If someone could just say yes, because I
Now I
now
can.
can't see. Huh?
Now I can. Just
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so again, today we'll be talking about the Milwaukee Efficient Buildings Benchmarking Program and Ordinance. This is annual tracking reporting of energy use in large commercial buildings and smaller government buildings here in the city of Milwaukee. Okay, so just starting out with this term, benchmarking, it's a little bit wonky. Um, the energy utility and uploading that information into the Start Manager tool. Um, and this tool, ESPM, is a valuable tool to track energy use over time, to compare your energy use in your building to other similar buildings across the country, as well as to identify, errors that may exist in your utility bills. I do this process for the City of Milwaukee buildings for about 102 City of Milwaukee buildings. And, most everything goes smoothly, but there have been some times where, the Energy Star Portfolio Manager tool and the charts that they provide of your energy use over time, which you can see right down here. Once you input your information, you will start to have this trend line over the years. To see, what is general energy use throughout the year. And these charts have helped me to identify errors in our bills, which I've then been able to go back to the utility and resolve. Overall, studies show that commercial buildings that benchmark use 2.4% less energy each year, at least for the first 3 years. But there are many other cities and jurisdictions that have these types of policies in place. And in those jurisdictions, they report buildings using, up to 10 to 14% less energy through benchmarking, through just kind of starting to pay attention, and then ideally making changes, whether they're operational or, changing out to LED lighting or making different changes to reduce those utility bills each month. And because of that value in being able to check, know what you're spending on your energy bills, trying to reduce those over time, many buildings in Milwaukee already benchmark, which we were happy to find out as when we were doing community engagement for this ordinance last spring. So overall, buildings, just the built environment, make up majority of cities' greenhouse gas emissions. This pie chart is the 2018 greenhouse gas emissions for the city of Milwaukee, like community-wide greenhouse gas emissions. And you can see it's broken up overall in terms of all buildings. So it'd be residential, And that's charted to be residential, industrial, and commercial energy. That's 76% of community greenhouse gas emissions. And about 25% of that comes specifically from commercial buildings. And this is a similar trend to other American cities. So there has really been a focus on reducing greenhouse gas emissions from this particular building sector because it provides building owners with this also significant or this amount to significantly reduce their energy costs um, month after month and year after year. And because of the value of, this type of policy, when the city of Milwaukee, when we had like a 4-year process, we had a city county task force on climate economic equity that started in 2019 and we kind of wrapped up and the climate equity plan was adopted in June of 2023. A benchmarking policy was one of the big ideas that came out of our green buildings work group. Um, and that policy is adopted to help the city reach our goals of achieving 45% greenhouse gas emissions reductions by 2030 and achieving net zero by 2050 while creating, hundreds, not thousands of green jobs, making, in one way, making improvements to the energy efficiency of a lot of buildings is, a great example of a green job. The benchmarking ordinance itself was developed in early 2024. We started with internal stakeholder engagement here at the city, then sought community feedback in the spring of 2024, and the policy was adopted in early June of 2024 by the Milwaukee Common Council. And this kind of gives a little bit more background in terms of why we are targeting large commercial buildings. So the kind of column here on the left shows the percentage of the number of buildings and their relative size. So this 76% of buildings in the city of Milwaukee, the majority of them are 15,000 square feet or less. So that makes sense. That's our homes, that's a lot of smaller buildings, mostly homes throughout the city. But if you look at the built square footage in the city of Milwaukee, the majority of that is actually in these large buildings. So you can see here, this column on the right shows that about 49% of this built, kind of built environment square footage is in buildings that are 100,000 square feet or bigger. If you add buildings that are 75,000 to 100,000, you add an additional 7%. And then going down to 50,000, we have about 9%. So overall, through this policy, we'll be benchmarking about 65% of kind of square footage in the city of Milwaukee, which is great and is a good equivalent. The square footage is a good equivalent for kind of like greenhouse gas emissions as well. So kind of tracking that. And again, because this is a good baseline policy, you can't improve what you don't measure. This type of policy, this type of benchmarking policy is, very popular around the country. I don't have kind of the years that all of these different cities adopted benchmarking policies, but I believe Chicago's has been in place, for example, for at least 10 years. I think Minneapolis the same. And as you see, there are entire states that are now requiring benchmarking across all buildings in their state. And there's actually a good portion here in the Midwest of cities that have adopted these policies. I believe when our policy was adopted, we were around the 50th or so jurisdiction in the country. So this is typical. We have building owners here that own buildings in other jurisdictions, and they already know that this is something, they're already accustomed to having to do this because of buildings that they own in other cities. So I just wanted to take a little time just to run through the main tool that we are using to ask you all to benchmark. It's the Energy Star Portfolio Manager, which again is a free tool through the Department of Energy. I'll kind of run through the most relevant tabs in there. And then I'll jump over to the We Energies website and show you a couple of other kind of resources that are available in particular scenarios. So I'll stop sharing and go to my browser. Okay, so we'll start. Can people see the well, let me start. Can people see the Energy Star Portfolio Manager right now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. Okay, so this is kind of a sneak peek into the city of Milwaukee's the way that we track the energy use in city buildings. So we'll just jump into one here. Let me jump into read this one as an example. So when you kind of come in to create your Energy Star Portfolio Manager account for your building or buildings, kind of the information you'll be adding, a lot of the basic information. When you create it, you'll be adding obviously the address. This Portfolio Manager property ID is something that is just given to the building. That's not something that you need to have. So don't worry about that. Um, and then, having the year built there is helpful as well. Um, in terms of entering the gross floor area of your building, you can add that here in the details tab. You can break that down by, however you would like to break it down. But I believe for our purposes, you don't need to divvy up all the different square footage in your building to different floors or what have you. You can add more detail, but that's not a necessity. You can also add the occupancy information here. If you know that specifically, feel free to add that. Otherwise, you can default to 100%. And in here, even though Claire is going to go into this in more detail, I just wanted to highlight that it is in this details tab under unique identifiers. You have to go edit. And then this is where you will, there's a drop down here. You'll look for the Milwaukee benchmarking building ID um, kind of category, and then you will enter your identification number right into this tab. And this step is really important for you to be able to share your energy information with the city. Okay, so we'll go back into that property. So that's a details tab. And then here in the energy tab is where you will add the specific information on the energy use in your building. And typically that's going to be, at least one electrical account and then one, I think most buildings here use gas, but maybe your building uses steam. Um, so this is where you would add that information. And I, do recommend when you create this, you can kind of write in here what you would like. Um, I think it is helpful to have, the type of energy, um, the type of energy listed here. So whether it's electric or gas or steam. And then I think it is actually helpful to have your We Energies account number right here and available to you to reference for future years when you have to go back in, look at We Energies, and then you can kind of input your account number and pull up your information. We'll just go into the tab here and so I think overall for the ordinance, you are not required to put your total cost information in here. You really just need to put in your usage. If we're talking about electricity, then we're talking about kilowatt hours. Um, so this is information that you would get from your We Energies bill, which again, I'll jump over to We Energies and kind of show you where to get that. But I do recommend including your cost information here because it's just helpful for you to be able to track that and track your energy use over time, the amount of money that you're paying for your different utility bills. Because I think one thing that that will do over time is it can show you here over time in energy cost, what has been the trend. In this case, unfortunately, our energy cost has gone up at this particular building. But again, this is just a great tool. This Energy Star Portfolio Manager is a great tool to get a snapshot of the energy use in your building. You can set different goals. You can add additional things to this, but kind of the steps that I showed you of just putting in the address, gross floor area, adding your building ID and then adding your energy information in there is what is required for the ordinance. So then we'll jump to the We Energies bills. Let me see if I can just get that information from here, the account number. Again, if you have not created an account on weenergies.com, it's a pretty, easy process. Here you can kind of quickly search for the account that you're looking for. Oh, okay. So you can go to view bill history. And I also want to point out, because I think maybe some people have gotten stuck on this as they're trying to input their information. We Energies will default to just giving you the last year of energy information, but you can click on this and then you should be able to go back 2 years. So you should be able to see, your bill information for the last 2 years for all of 2024, which is what's required for this benchmarking ordinance for you to input into Energy Star. And this is where you will find the information that you need to input. And, you can do it manually. You can just go, for the 12 months of 2024, input the energy usage and then put in your cost information. You'll add that into the energy tab in the Energy Star Portfolio Manager account and hit, save bills. And do that for the different forms of energy that you are using in your building, and then share that information with the city of Milwaukee. And that is basically, the end of your requirements for the benchmarking ordinance. There are some situations, let's say you are a building owner and you have a number of tenants in your building, and they pay the bills. The Energy Star portfolio, or We Energies, does have this portal for landlords and property managers that have at least 4 tenants in their building. And you can actually get the overall whole building energy use for that building. You do need to have at least one account at the building that reverts to you. So in a lot of cases, we're thinking that would be a common area that you pay the electricity bill for, the parking that you pay the electricity bill for. If you have one account that is coming back to you and at least 4 tenants, you should be able to register here through the landlord tenant portal and get the overall whole building energy use for the building, and then take that kind of aggregated energy use, electricity and gas, and then input that into the energy tab here in Energy Star Portfolio Manager. It does get a little tricky, so if you have issues with that, please, do let us know. I also wanted to highlight, we understand that this is a new process for a lot of people. And so We Energies actually has free services to be able to get you started with benchmarking. This is a URL to sign up for, it's called the Free Energy Efficiency Consultation Request. You'll just have to add your contact info here, and then their energy efficiency professionals will reach out to you and help walk you through the different steps to create your Energy Star Portfolio Manager account, get the information from We Energies, and get all set up in benchmarking. So that is a great service. And I think with that, I will turn it over to Claire.
Great. Thank you so much, Pam. As Pam mentioned, my name is Claire Rabbit. I'm with Clearly Energy, and we're working with the city to support the rollout of this benchmarking ordinance. So hello, and I can go ahead and share my slides here. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, great. Thanks, Pam. Perfect. So the first thing that I wanted to highlight here is that Milwaukee has a knowledge base, and this serves as a comprehensive resource library for all information that's related to the Efficient Buildings Benchmarking Program. So you'll be able to find information on the policy, announcements, upcoming events, like this one, if there was a webinar or upcoming office hours, you would be able to find that information there. Detailed compliance guidance and other resources. And you'll also be able to go here to access the Claim My Building form and any other forms that you need to fill out. Here, let me just advance my slides. So if you have something like an exemption request or building information that you'd like to update, you can definitely find these forms here on the knowledge base, or submit just a general ticket to have any of your questions answered. So as you can see here, this is a list of some of the forms that are available. And the first step for the benchmarking ordinance is just submitting the Claim My Building form so that we have accurate contact information in association with your building or buildings, so that we're able to get in touch with you for important notices, something like your compliance status, or any information left that we need from you, or important policy updates. And then these are some of the other forms available, but again, as Pam mentioned, we should have plenty of time for Q&A at the end if you have questions on any of these. The next thing here is the building owner portal. And while you are not required to sign up for one, it is a web-based application platform, and it does enable building owners to be able to view your compliance status of any submitted reports, detailed information on your building and its energy consumption, your previous compliance data, if you're looking to refer back to previous years, once this ordinance has been going on for a little bit longer, and any correspondence that you've had with the city. So if you submitted a help desk ticket or you wrote in an email, that would be there in association with your building through the building owner portal. The only thing that I will mention with this is just to please register with an email that we have on file in association with your buildings, as that email being in our system is what's going to enable your buildings to pull up within your account. So this can either be the building that you're using to benchmark in Energy Star Portfolio Manager, or alternatively, it could be an email that you provided when you claimed your building. So next, I'm going to go through a quick sharing tutorial, and as Pam mentioned, walk through how to enter your Milwaukee building ID as well. So let me just switch my tab here. And then I will also show you the demo of the building owner portal and knowledge base that we just chatted about. But within Portfolio Manager, the first thing that you'll want to do is make sure that all of your data is entered correctly. But once you've done that, it's very important to make sure that your Milwaukee building ID is entered in association with your building, as this is what's going to enable us to know what building you are sharing your report for. So to enter that building ID, I would just click into that individual property, go to the Details tab, and then you can see this unique identifiers box here. So I would click Edit. And then as you can see, I've already entered it here. But if I were looking to find this, I would just go to the Standard ID City Town field and select the Milwaukee Benchmarking Building ID. And this is just an example, so not a real ID, but you would enter your Milwaukee building ID as it appears on the covered buildings list here. Then I would scroll to the bottom and click Save. And once I've done that and I've completed all of my benchmarking, I would be ready to share my building or buildings with the city. And this is essentially how you, quote unquote, submit your report so that we are able to receive it. But to do this, there are two essential steps. The first of which being that you'll need to connect with the City of Milwaukee on Energy Star Portfolio Manager. So to do that, you can see in the top right here, there's a little tab that says Contacts. So click there, and then you can click Add New Contacts/Connections. And then in the username field here, I would just search for city-of-Milwaukee. Then I'd click search. And as you can see, I've already connected with the City of Milwaukee, but for you going in, you will see a blue button here, which you'll need to click to be able to send the request. Once your request to connect is accepted, you will receive an email and that'll prompt you to go on to step 2 of this process. So going back to my homepage, once you do receive that email and you're ready to proceed forward, the next step is going to be sharing your individual properties with the city. So to do this, first you'll click on this sharing tab, and then you will click share or edit access to a property. Then I will select the property or properties that I would like to share. And then I would scroll down to the City of Milwaukee. Oh, there we are. I would then select personalized sharing and exchange data and click continue. Then at the top row here, you'll select read-only access for your properties and this exchange data button. When you click that exchange data button, it'll prompt this pop-up window to appear. And here you'll be able to select your permissions. So please, as you go through, provide read-only access for all property and meter information. And then you can select no for recognition, none for recognition, and no for share forward. You'll then click apply selections and authorize exchange. And then I'm not actually going to share this building, but if I were going to, I would click this large blue button here that says share properties. There is also a video demo tutorial and a written guide on this process, which I believe Brooke will be sharing in the chat. So you can refer back to this as needed. Now I'll toggle over just to show you the building owner portal and the knowledge base that we discussed a bit earlier. So this is my homepage as I have logged into the building owner portal, and I'm just going to show you some quick steps for navigating in here. So the first thing being, if I did want to change my name or personal information, I could just click my name up in this top tab or my email address and click that Save Changes there. The next piece will be the actual building inventory, which I can navigate to through clicking this left-hand tab. And here there are various things that I can do. But the first thing I'll mention is just that your buildings will be organized by Milwaukee Building ID, and all of these columns that you see visible here are searchable. So if I had a larger inventory and I wanted to search for one specific building, I could do that here, as you can see. And I can do that for any of these columns. I can view any labels that have been added to my property in association with compliance requirements. There are none there right now, but there would be theoretically in the future. I can also view any, as I mentioned, the communications that have been submitted, so any emails associated with a specific building or any forms that have been submitted. So for example, a claim my building form, an exemption request form. And if I were to have any of those submitted in association, I would be able to access them directly through here. I can also view compliance status via the inventory once it becomes available. And through this little blue eye, I can click into a more detailed page on the property itself. I can also do various filters, as you can see up here. If I wanted to scroll to a specific column without having to go through them all, I could do that. Or I could filter by labels, or I could even export this into a spreadsheet if I wanted to do that. I can also, for something like gross floor area, if needed, I can sort by ascending or descending. So lots of things that you're able to do here within the inventory. I'll also toggle over here just to quickly show you in this Add Members tab, I am able to invite someone else to see my exact inventory. So let's say there was another person working on my team. We had the exact same buildings or portfolio of buildings, and I wanted them to be able to see exactly what I see. So I could click this Invite a New Member up in the top right-hand corner. And then I would be able to enter their information and add them as either a building owner or a building viewer. And the difference between those two designations is that building owners are able to add additional members through this tab, while building viewers cannot, but they can still see everything that you can. So now that we've gone through the building owner portal, I'm going to toggle over to show you the knowledge base. And I will just mention here that I know that I did just toggle here from the building owner portal, but the knowledge base itself, you do not need to have any login to be able to access this. This is a fully public facing website and you can access this at any point. So as you can see, there are announcements and upcoming events, which I could click into to learn more about. We do have some upcoming office hour sessions, so I would definitely suggest looking at that tab. And I know that something folks tend to flag is that they'd like webinars recorded. And so we do record these webinars and you are able to access them here as well, as you can see. There's also several resources available and detailed benchmarking guidance to walk you through exactly how to benchmark your building. If I clicked into here. But I would definitely recommend going through this entire knowledge base and looking through the guidance that we do have available. In addition to this knowledge base page, in the left-hand side here, where my screen is black, you can see there is a little tab that says New Ticket, and this is how I would submit a form. So there are several forms available for use. I know we've talked through a couple of them, the first of which being the Claim My Building form, where you can provide that updated contact information in association with your buildings. So that is definitely an important one to have, and I believe Brooke is also dropping the link to that in the chat. As well as some other forms that you may find necessary. And I will just toggle to this general inquiry form, as if you have any questions or need any support as you walk through this benchmarking process. We know this is the first year, this might be new to many folks, but anything that comes up, we are here to help and would love to assist you in your inquiry. So with that, let me toggle back to my slides. The other thing that I will mention is just the building scorecards, which are a feature that become available once you do complete benchmarking your buildings, and you will be provided with after the active benchmarking season. And this is just one example of the benefits of benchmarking and some of the insights that you can gain from it. So these specific reports provide a snapshot, and these can help you to better understand your building energy usage and your costs associated with it. And if you do choose to do so, you can use this information to improve your energy efficiency and reduce utility costs. But again, this is for your benefit to be able to receive this information and have a better understanding of your building's energy usage and how it compares to other similar buildings. So with that, we can open it up to Q&A. And I think we should have a good amount of time. I know we have a small group here, so please feel free, any questions that you have, to drop them in the chat. Since it's just a few of us too, I think if you want to come off mute, that is also completely welcome.
I wonder if it's handy, this might be the first time that you're becoming familiar with this program and still kind of need to go in and um kind of go through the different steps yourself. So I was hoping we could highlight, maybe put in the chat, um, the office hour session that we have coming up on September 3rd. That's really just a time when, you can just pop in and, you know, ask your questions, kind of get that ideally should be one-on-one assistance. As you're going through these different steps. So just wanted to highlight that as well. If again, this is the first time that you're learning about this or, understanding the different steps, we do have additional time set aside to provide that assistance.
Great, thanks, Pam. I think
Mhm.
both Brooke and I I dropped the
Oh, great.
link
Okay.
to all of the office hour sessions, and she
Okay.
dropped the link to that September 3rd registration. So
Okay. Perfect.
great.
Great.
Oh,
Well, if you don't have questions right now, again, totally understand. Hope